There comes a point in all of our plant journeys where we start to hear the tempting call of Anthurium, which is both exciting and terrifying. I was so intimidated to get my first Anthurium. I still remember it very clearly. I got my first one in 2019. It was an Anthurium clarinervium, which was stunning and a dream plant for me at the time. I got it while I was visiting Seattle, and she almost didn't make it back across the border with me because they wanted to burn her. That's a story for another day though. She ended up making it back with me, but I was so nervous about caring for this plant. I was helicopter parenting on another level. I don't have her anymore, but she didn't croak. She actually did really well. I ended up rehoming her during one of my mini moves. Anthurium are way more approachable than what I knew back then, and I'm hoping to ease some of your stress by recommending 5 of my tried and true Anthurium that I highly recommend for beginners. And they're fun ones too. You can grow some really beautiful Anthurium as a beginner. I think that Anthurium can be a very overwhelming genus largely because of the names. There are a lot of different hybrids. People also invent names for Anthurium hybrids, which may be different from a name that someone else calls them. It can be very, very confusing. When you see a cross or a hybrid Anthurium name, the way that it works, the first name is the mother or the seed parent, and the second name is the father or the pollen parent. So the mother plant is the one that is actually growing the berries and where the seeds for the new baby plants come off of. The Anthurium world definitely can feel a little bit elitist with all of the different plants and breeders and lineages. My goal is to break the barrier into Anthurium so that you feel comfy getting started. Some reasons that Anthurium are not scary, aka some things that I absolutely love about them. You don't need a moss pole, but you can still get some huge leaves. This is something that I have really come to appreciate about Anthurium because moss poles, although I love my climbers, they can be a lot of maintenance, but Anthurium are pretty, I mean, sometimes you need to add some stakes, but overall they're a lot less maintenance than a moss pole. Number 2, I love the way that the new leaves balloon in. So they start as little tiny baby leaves and then they slowly keep expanding until they've reached their full size and start to harden off. It is so satisfying and cool to watch, and you usually get to watch some very beautiful colors come in as well. 3, there is a lot of variety in the genus if you choose the right plants. I know that when I first started getting into Anthurium, I felt like they all looked the same, and that kind of made it seem a little bit boring to me. But now that I've grown a lot of different kinds, I can see that they are very different, and I can kind of figure out where my tastes lie. Kind of related to that, but number 4, you can get some very dark foliage, which is one of my favorite traits in a houseplant. So if you are also into goth plants or almost black leaves, then Anthurium is definitely the genus for you. 5, they have very chonky, resilient roots, which I really appreciate because I don't get nervous about repotting them. They're very resilient in that way, and it's just satisfying to see a big, chonky udon noodle root. And 6, it is very possible to cross-pollinate different Anthurium that you have in your collection and create your own babies if that's what you're into. Me, I get overwhelmed with all of the plants I already have, so I don't do too much of that, but I have done it a couple times and it is very rewarding. Yes, some Anthurium are quite finicky and require higher humidity to grow properly, but the ones I'm going to be sharing with you today are all just grown in regular room humidity, which for me is around 50%. But I do think that they could go lower if you are in the 30 to 40% range. I think it's entirely possible as long as you stay on top of watering. This isn't a care video by any means, but I will say that most of my Anthurium are grown in the Molly's Aeroid mix. Like I said, 50% humidity. Of course, I do have others that I grow inside my cabinets, but we're not going to be talking about those ones today. I'll mention lighting individually when I show the plants. To feed all of my Anthurium, I use the General Hydroponics Flora series with CalMag, and about once a month, I also use Kelpie. I'll start off by saying that in general, any crystallinum, magnificum, or clarinervium or hybrids of those are usually very beginner friendly. People also often recommend forgetii as a beginner Anthurium, but I actually disagree with that because I've always struggled with forgetii and hybrids of it as well. I just find it to be a little bit more finicky. The leaves are prone to tearing. Maybe that's a me thing, but I've also heard other people say the same. I don't have any of those to show in this video, but I do know that they are typically very easy growing. I think any of those would be a solid choice. Okay, so let's get into talking about the plants. I'm gonna start with what I consider the easiest Anthurium in my collection. It is also my favorite. And yeah, I was gonna say the most, well, no, is it my favorite? I have too many favorites. It's definitely the easiest, I feel, so let me go grab it. And that is my Anthurium pallidiflorum, which is absolutely huge. So I obviously had to stand up to show you this one. Now, I was very nervous for this plant because I thought, oh, it looks so cool, it must be hard to take care of. But it is, like I said, the easiest Anthurium in my collection. And one of the most beautiful with these long, strappy leaves. It is ridiculous just how long the leaves are on this plant. And something that I really love about the pallidiflorum is that it is velvety also. So you get a really beautiful shimmery sheen when the sun hits this plant. I think this one is the longest leaf. It's honestly almost as tall as me. This is a pendant Anthurium, obviously, so you can see it grows down and out of the pot, and then the new growth comes in at the bottom of this, I don't know, vine thing, the base of it. This plant is extremely low maintenance. It lives on top of my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, and it gets light just from it doesn't have a grow light shining directly on it, but there's lights inside the cabinet, and then there's lights on the plant shelf beside the cabinet, and this plant is kind of in between those, so it just gets the remnants or like the ambient light from those grow lights and a little bit of natural light, but it is pulled back pretty far from the window. But if it's a really sunny day in the fall or winter, then the sun will come in and hit it. But in general, I would say that this gets about medium indirect light for the most part, and it really does not complain at all about that. I truly think that this is one of the most unique plants that anybody can have in their home or in their houseplant collection, and I truly just cannot recommend it enough. Try to back up more so that I can fit it all in the frame. When I tell you that this plant does not get any special care whatsoever, I am so serious about that. This plant is extremely easygoing in the sense that I have underwatered it, I have overwatered it. I don't actually lift it out of the cover pot when I water. I just blindly water it because if it gets a little bit too much, it's okay. If it's a little bit too dry, it's okay. It just really is incredibly easygoing and does not complain about anything. Low maintenance, but high impact, so I love it so much. Okay, next I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this one. This is my current obsession. This is my Dorayaki Silver and Red Crystallinum hybrid, and I actually grew this from a seed, which is crazy just to see how far it's come. And since being in the seedling stage, this has just been such a hardy plant. I have never had a single issue with it. It has gone through neglect. It has gone through being in a location where it barely got any light when I had it on the calyx shelf, and it would get forgotten down there. It's gone through some things, so I can confidently say that this is just such an easy plant to grow. I soon realized how beautiful this plant is, so now it has a prime location under my Rousseau plant care grow light. And it seems to be loving that, as you can see with this beautiful leaf that it has coming in. But it has tolerated some unfavorable conditions before that. I love that this one is more compact as well. It doesn't have super long petioles. I love the bold silver veining on this one and the round leaves. Like, it is just so adorable. Yeah, I have really grown to love this one. It is probably one of my favorite plants in my houseplant collection in general. And I know I say every plant is my favorite, but you guys, they kind of are, because I get rid of the ones that aren't my favorite. This one actually, woo, look at those, juicy. Yeah, there's some water sitting in the bottom of this cover pot, but oh my gosh, the roots are so pretty. They're pink. They're so pink. Oh my goodness, even the roots are cute on her. Imagine being this stunning. I was just gonna show you that I am using a pot extender. That's something that I do for some of my Anthurium. Once the stem starts getting a little bit long, then it just offers more space for it to root in. But yeah, this is another one that can tolerate underwatering, a little bit of overwatering, and is just generally so easy to grow. Something that I love about this one as well is that I don't get a lot of cosmetic leaf damage, even if they get knocked around a little bit, because Anthurium leaves are notorious for getting dinged up. This one seems to do pretty well. I did put, I think, my scissors through this older one here, and it started to crisp at the bottom because this leaf is probably a year old already. But I remember being so mad about this hole down here because I accidentally stabbed it with my shears and it was putting out a nice beautiful leaf. But yeah, I think that this is so beautiful, and I also love the overlapping sinus on this one. It is just so cute. I can't get enough of it. Oh, I should say where these are from as well. The Polydiflorum I got from North Shore Tropicals years ago now. Actually, I've had these all for years at this point. This one I got from Cartel Down. I have a couple of videos where I unboxed and then gave updates on these. I can link that down below if you're interested in seeing a little bit of the journey. But yeah, that's where this one came from, and it just turned out to be such a great plant. Okay, next I am going to share with you probably one of the more exciting Anthurium in my collection. I know that this one is such a crowd favorite in the houseplant community. This is Anthurium King of Spades, and it's known for putting out a really beautiful big round leaf and insane colors when the new leaves are growing out. I think that this plant is very easy to grow. Mine does not require any type of supplemental humidity. It's perfectly happy being in room conditions. However, it is a very slow grower, and I know that that's not just mine. A lot of people have this experience with this plant, but I probably haven't gotten a new leaf in almost a year on this one, and I've cut back some of the older ones as well. So I just have these two, but and I have to be very careful here because I would be so mad if I knocked this. We have a new leaf on the way right now. Oh my goodness. It's gonna be a Christmas miracle. I'm so excited about this. I have been babying this plant. I don't baby my plants, okay? I'm very, okay, sorry, my battery died and I moved things around a little bit here. I give my plants what they need, but I also have a bit of a fend for yourself mentality in terms of providing extra care, like daily care. But with this one, I have been spritzing this new little leaf to make sure that it comes out smoothly, and just babying it a little more than I do my other plants because I am just so extremely excited to see that. I will definitely be taking photos and sharing updates here and on my Instagram, so stay tuned for that new leaf. But yeah, it truly feels like an event, and it's totally worth the wait. I'm happy to have these older leaves to look at while I'm waiting for newer ones to come in. This has also flowered for me a couple of times, and I've taken the pollen from it, but it's in the freezer. I haven't done anything with it. This is in pretty much the same setup as the last one I showed you, with the pot extender there to give it a little bit of extra vertical space. I honestly could stack another one on here as well because there's a lot of vine that's growing out, so maybe I'll do that too, so we can get some extra roots going to turbocharge it a little bit. But yeah, I really wanted to highlight this one because I feel like people maybe see it and think that it requires some type of specialized care, but it really doesn't. It is just as easygoing as a lot of my just like philodendron and stuff like that. So yeah, don't be scared of it if it's one that's on your wish list. This lives next to the Doriaki under the Rousseau Plant Care Grow Light as well, and it seems very happy there. I have grown this in natural light, but I think I've gotten the best results under grow lights. I think it just appreciates the consistency of that, especially where I am. It can be quite dark at certain times of the year. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about this one. Again, it's not too picky with watering. It dries out sometimes. It gets overwatered sometimes because that's just kind of what all my plants have to deal with me just blindly watering. But yeah, it doesn't seem to mind. It has such a thick leaf too. Like, it's giving cardboard vibes for sure. So yeah, he's a tough one. Okay, another one that I have to stand for. Actually, I can scoot him up a little bit. This beautiful plant is my Anthurium luxurians hybrid. This is a hybrid of Anthurium luxurians with crystallinum and magnificum. This is probably my most popular Anthurium. It's the one that gets commented on the most, and for good reason, because look at the size of it. It's huge and it's dark and textured and so beautiful. This one is tied for my favorite with the Pallidiflorum, but this actually might be my #1 favorite if I really had to choose between them. I actually grew this from a seedling with like the tiniest, a leaf the size of a fingernail, and now it's grown into this, a beast. And such an easy plant. I do have a million stakes in here, keeping the petioles all close together, or else she would be flopping around a little bit. But yeah, this Anthurium is incredible, and I'm gonna be recommending maybe not any luxuriance hybrid, because I'm sure that there are some that are more difficult, but any luxuriance magnificum, luxuriance crystallinum. Like I said, mine is a luxuriance crystal mag, but I used to have a luxuriance magnificum, and that one was really beautiful as well. It just didn't quite have the same depth of color as this one does, which is why I decided to keep this one of the two. But honestly, whatever you can find in that realm, I'm sure it's gonna be an absolutely stunning plant and not cause you many problems. The only thing that this plant will do is brown a little bit on the older leaves, but really that's being nitpicky because, I mean, come on, it's an old leaf. Like, who really cares? That's not anything super unusual. I think that that comes from the luxuriance though. I think they're kind of prone to browning around the edges. So you can see this leaf is probably like, it's probably quite old, like maybe a couple of years old. Over a year old for sure, so that's nothing that really bothers me. Again, this one tolerates underwatering, overwatering. I also don't really keep up with repotting as much as I should for any of these Anthurium in this video, so they're tolerant that way. It can thrive in a low to medium light setting as well. I have grown this in natural light, quite a distance from the window as well. And right now, where it sits, it's in a similar, it's actually right below the Pallidiflorum. So again, it gets like ambient grow lighting from the cabinet and from the Vitsto shelf beside it, but it doesn't have its own grow light shining directly onto it. So I think it's like a low to medium kind of situation. But it's just such a statement plant. Like, are you joking me? This is so cool, and I will never stop recommending it. Or recommending similar hybrids to it. If you have a luxuriance hybrid that you really like, leave me a comment, because I would love to maybe get another one. Even though, look at the size of this, like where would I fit another plant like this? I have no idea. But yeah, the whole growing experience of this was so enjoyable at every size. It was just such a beautiful plant, and watching the colors of the new leaves come in, like this is another one where it just feels like an event when it pushes out a new leaf, because a plant this size is not pushing out a new leaf very often. But yeah, it's just perfect, and I am in love with it. So okay, lastly, yes, I have another strappy Anthurium to show you. They're one of my favorite types of plants. I really am wanting to get the Windlingeri. I was talking about how I potentially wanted one, and then someone left a comment about how it's their favorite plant and they really think that I would love it and I should get one, and they're really selling me on it. So now it is actively on my wish list. But the one that I'm gonna show you right now that I've been growing for a good few years now is my Anthurium vitirifolium, and this has really filled out. I was actually just looking back on an older video the other day and seeing just how much this has grown. Let me try to get better lighting here on this side maybe. Yeah, it's really cool to see this thing just turn into like a little shrub that I have hanging in the window. I feel like it gives such a cool jungly vibe. And of course it is beginner friendly, easy going. I don't do anything special for it. It gets natural light. It lives in a south window that's a little bit covered, so it doesn't get blasted with direct sun, but it is a pretty high light location. And what I actually did was cut this plant up once upon a time, a couple years ago, and now I have multiple growing in here to make it look more full. So I think there is 1, 2, 3, 4 plants in here potentially. And yeah, it just spits out new leaves like crazy. There's 2 baby leaves coming at the top here, 1, 2, and there's another one right here that's coming out, and there's probably more, honestly, because it's just always putting out something, it seems. I will say with this one, I do get some imperfect leaves. So like this, I guess it got a little bit torn at some point. but I don't really mind because I see this as like, I'm not really looking at the leaves individually. I'm just getting the impact of the plant overall as like a big full hanging basket here. One of the big differences between this one and the Pallidiflorum is that this one doesn't have a velvety finish like the Pallidiflorum does. So that's something that I definitely prefer about that one. It has that striking vein down the middle, and then it has a shimmeriness to it in the light, which I think is really gorgeous. And it's also a deeper green. This one, at least mine, is a little bit lighter. Maybe if you grew it in a darker spot, it would have darker foliage, but it's still beautiful. And I just love the impact of it. I just think that this is such a cool plant to have chilling in your house. Like, it looks crazy. It has this one that's really long. And I hope it puts out another one like this. I'm excited to see what this looks like in 2 years from now, because I think it's just gonna continue to fill out. I'll probably have to repot it at some point. This one definitely dries out a lot. I feel like all of my hanging plants definitely experience being bone dry more than the rest of the plants in the house, because I don't know, I guess they just require the extra step of reaching up to water them, even though this one's not that high. I feel like it can take a minute for these to really get going, but once they do, they really give her. So yeah, and this one is flowering a lot lately as well. It's just really enjoyable to grow, and I feel like I haven't appreciated it as much as I should. Like, it's just kind of hit me recently how cool this plant is starting to look. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to highlight it in this video. And there's also the variegated one, which is one of the more accessible variegated Anthurium, if not the most accessible one. Like, I see it pretty often, and I think that it looks really cool, and I kind of want one now. Even if I just added it into this pot, like the next time I repot it, I think that that would be really fun. So perhaps another one for my wish list, I don't know. But yeah, it's a great Anthurium, honestly. So that is 5 of the easiest Anthurium in my collection. Like I said, they all live in room humidity. They all can tolerate variable conditions and care, and I just think that they are beautiful plants that anybody could appreciate. So I really hope that you enjoyed. I don't know, I have so many Anthurium right now that are putting out new leaves, and it just has me in such an Anthurium mood. Like, I'm kind of obsessed with them right now. So look forward to seeing more of my Anthuriums in the future. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I would love to chat with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.